Have you ever stopped to think about how one single tiny thought can literally create ripples through your entire life? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. How a small mental shift can change not just your day, but how you connect with other people, how you see yourself, and yeah, even how you succeed in the long run.
So, this whole idea started from a super simple moment. Picture this. You miss the bus, and just as you do, the sky opens up and it starts pouring rain. You finally flag down a taxi, and the driver says, "Bad day, huh?" And your gut reaction is to just say, "Yes," right? But then a different thought pops in. Is it really a bad day? Or was it just a bad 5 minutes that you're about to let poison everything else? And that one question, that's the spark for this whole thing. I mean, really think about it for a second. How many times has one little thing, a spilled coffee, a grumpy comment from someone, a slow start to the morning, made you just write off the entire day as ruined? It happens to all of us, for sure. But what if we could catch that thought right as it happens and choose a different path?
Okay, so let's start with how this whole mindset thing affects the world outside of our own heads. Because the thoughts we have internally, they have a very real, very direct impact on our relationships and our conversations with other people. And there's some really cool science behind this. A psychologist named Barbara Fredrickson came up with what she calls the broaden and build theory. And the core idea is this. Positive emotions don't just feel good, they literally open up our minds. They broaden our awareness, they make us more curious, more creative, and way better at connecting with people. When you're in a good headspace, you're not just hearing someone's words, you're actually hearing the feeling behind them. You're just more open. And here's a perfect example of this in action. There's this story about a really quiet English student. She barely said a word, was super nervous, and her grammar wasn't great. But instead of correcting every little mistake, her teacher decided to focus on what she did well. The student said something, and the teacher just said, "That was really clear." The effect was instantaneous. The student's face just lit up. She was totally surprised. And after that, she spoke more and more. Not because her English magically got better, but because her teacher created this safe space where it was okay to try and okay to mess up.
Think about that. A teacher, a coach, a boss, a friend, someone who saw potential in you, maybe even before you saw it in yourself. It's like their belief becomes this kind of superpower that they give to you. And it turns out, it kind of is.
So there's actually a name for this. It's called the Pygmalion effect. It's this powerful psychological idea that shows how one person's expectations can directly influence another person's performance. It's not magic. It's all about mindset. When someone truly believes you can succeed, they communicate that to you in all these subtle little ways. And you, in turn, start to rise to meet that expectation. It's amazing.
So get this, that same student from before, she started out with this solid belief, I'm bad at English, period. But because her teacher kept seeing and speaking to her potential, that inner story, that voice in her head, began to change. And by the end of the course, she wasn't just participating, she was the one volunteering to lead group discussions. A complete 180, all sparked by someone else's belief. And that's really the bottom line here. The way we see other people can literally help shape the way they see themselves. Our belief in them can help create their new reality. Okay, so let's follow that ripple from the outside world back inward. Because let's be honest, the way we talk to other people is often a direct reflection of how we talk to ourselves, especially when we're stressed or feel like we failed. Oh man, we've all been here. You're on a first date, it's going well, and then you spill coffee all over your white shirt. What's the very first thought that screams in your head? For so many of us, it's that harsh, punishing inner critic just yelling, "You idiot, you always ruin things." It's instant, and in that moment, it feels 100% true. But what if you could create just a tiny bit of space between the coffee spill and your reaction, a mindful pause, just one deep breath? Instead of letting that inner critic run wild, you can introduce a new thought, a calmer one. Something like this. It doesn't pretend it didn't happen, but it completely reframes it. And just look at the difference here. It's so powerful. On the left, you've got judgment. These are huge, personal attacks. I'm a mess. I always ruin things. But on the right, you have mindful awareness. It's just about stating the facts without all that extra shame. I feel embarrassed. That's a feeling. It's not who you are. I spilled some coffee. That's just an action, not some deep character flaw. And that small shift, it's everything. This brings us to a really crucial idea, reframing one of the scariest words out there, failure.
A positive mindset doesn't mean you pretend mistakes are fun. No way. It just means you see them for what they are, essential information.
For so long, so many of us were taught that old mindset, right? That mistakes are the end of the road, a big red F on your life's report card. The goal was just to avoid them at all costs. But the new mindset, the one that actually fuels growth, sees it totally differently. Mistakes aren't the end, they're necessary steps on the path. Failure isn't a final verdict, it's just feedback. It's just data telling you what to try differently next time.
And this leads to a fundamental truth about what it takes to succeed. It's not always about having the most raw talent or never ever messing up. It's about resilience. It's about your ability to take a hit, learn from the failure, and get back in the game long enough to eventually get where you want to go.
So, the big question is, how do you build that resilience? How do you keep going when progress feels painfully slow or even invisible, and your motivation is just gone? Well, it comes down to one practice. And honestly, it's one that a lot of people get wrong.
And that practice is self-compassion. Now, a lot of people hear that and think it means being soft on yourself or just making excuses. But the research, like from Dr. Kristen Neff, actually shows the exact opposite. Self-compassion is a massive source of strength. It lowers anxiety and it actually increases motivation because you're not wasting all your energy beating yourself up. This question right here is the simplest, most powerful tool to start practicing it. The next time that harsh inner critic starts up, just pause and ask yourself this. If your best friend made the exact same mistake, would you call them an idiot? Would you tell them they always ruin things? Of course not. So why is it okay to say that to yourself?
Here's a super simple 3-step playbook you can use. First, just get good at noticing that negative self-talk. Catch it in the act. Second, use that filter question. Would I say this to a friend? And third, if the answer is a hard no, then you have to actively rephrase the thought. Turn that nice job loser into, okay, that's in work. What did I learn? Let's try again.
All right, let's wrap this up and boil it all down. If you remember anything today, let it be this. You have a choice in the thoughts you focus on, so choose wisely. Your belief in other people is a powerful gift that can unlock their potential. Failure is not a final judgment, it's just feedback. And practicing self-compassion isn't weak, it's what builds real, lasting motivation. And maybe most important of all, just keep showing up. Because even when you can't see it, progress is happening. So, I'll leave you with one final question. This doesn't have to be some big, earth-shattering philosophy. Just one small, intentional thought. What is one thought you can choose right now that will move you forward today?